morning, everyone. Guess what? It's a whole new week. It's a whole new month. And it's a whole new setup here on DSP Gaming. Welcome to August, everyone. It's going to be a jam-packed month full of content here on the channel, and I'm excited to be starting strong. We've got a week full of awesome game playthroughs and a marathon to cap things off. We're going to be talking all about that, plus a big update regarding that marathon and more content that may happen this month. In addition, we've got big gaming news when it comes to Bioshock, which we've all been wondering what the heck happened to this franchise for the longest time. We finally have some answers. And we'll also talk about this week's upcoming DSP Tries It and more. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get started right here on today's month-beginning episode of the Level 1 Podcast.
Attention! The games are about to begin. All hail the king!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Level 1 Podcast. Today is Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. I'm the King, DSP, and welcome to a new month of fun. It's a weird week because I'm starting the week on Saturday, which typically is my normal day off, but this week it's the beginning of my work week and month, which is kind of cool. And man, do we have a week ahead of time. Seriously, we've got an absolutely crazy week of content. 6 straight days of double gameplay streams here on the channel, where I'll be playing a wide variety of games, including continuing on with Luto and finishing it up. Also, Death Stranding 2 and Donkey Kong Bonanza. We also have Grand Theft Auto 4, which, if it performs well a second time here on the late stream tonight, will actually become a daytime stream again, which would be pretty darn cool. In addition to that, we've got the continuation of chill streams like American Truck Simulator and Minecraft. We're going to have some Capcom vs. SNK2 action, and we're going to see how else stuff goes. We may or may not begin something new this week as well, depending on how things go. Actually, now that I'm taking a look, this looks a little too bright, doesn't it? I think I might have to lower the brightness on my screen. Brand new animations for the month, as you guys can see. Every month I try to do something different, and all new stuff for the month of August. You'll see different various things. This is for the podcast, but also when I'm not podcasting, I have another group of animations, and I have animations just for the awesome marathon that's going to be this coming Friday. We'll talk about that in a sec. So I think I should lower the brightness slightly. Like, is there a way to just by a notch? No, there's not. Of course not. Why would there be a way to do it just by one notch? That would be too easy. Okay, I lowered it a tiny bit. And quite frankly, it still looks too blue, doesn't it? This frame, it's weird because when I look at it here, to the human eye versus how the camera captures it, it's actually a little different. The camera seems to capture it like too blue, which is really weird. So I have to always mess with the white balance a bit. Okay, let me actually lower the blue even more. It looks better. Look at that. Just by touching it, it actually made it a little better. I'll even lower it slightly more. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the blue light coming off of it. Anyway, so let's see how it looks now. So welcome everyone to the Level 1 Podcast, a brand new month. The summer is in full effect, right? We are very excited here because of all the fun playthroughs that I've been doing, the fun content and projects that I've been working on, and it's a brand new month. And for a new month, that means a refreshed set, as you guys can see. I'm pretty excited for Friday's Mega Man Marathon Part 2 of the Mega Man Rageathon that we started way back in January, I'll be playing through Mega Man 4, 5, and hopefully 6 while inebriated, trying to beat them all in one sitting here on stream. And so to celebrate, I got a nice Mega Man Legacy artwork. This is actually bead art from, I'm not even kidding, probably around 15 years ago, back when I started on YouTube and I was becoming a popular YouTuber. I used to go to conventions, and at one of the conventions, I bought some art, and this is one of the bead arts that I bought. I believe I used to have this hanging on my back wall in Connecticut. I think if you look back in the day, you'll see Mega Man and Proto Man stuck to my back wall in some of the videos. So this is that Mega Man. I still have him. And I said, whoa, he's been sitting in a closet in bubble wrap for like 10 years. Why not pop this guy out and get him in the background for the month? Makes sense, right? And by the way, boy, does he pop. He looks really good. And then on this side, we've got a nice Mario hat that I found. What's funny about this stuff is I was just saying this to my wife the other day. I was saying, when I was a kid, I would have killed for good gaming merchandise. Like, imagine if when I was like 10 or 12 years old, when I was playing with action figures that were like G.I. Joe and Transformers, imagine if they had Mario, or if they actually had like good Street Fighter figures, which they didn't. They had crappy Street Fighter figures that were like bootleg G.I. Joes that sucked. Imagine if they had merchandise like a Mario hat or a glowing sword from one of your favorite games. Kids would have went nuts for that in my age. Guess what? They don't have it. They didn't have any of that when I was a kid. What it was that video games were just kind of becoming a household deal around the era of the NES, the original Nintendo. And so because of that, there wasn't really known demand for a lot of stuff like this. Now here we are 20, 30 years later, and now video games have become so ingrained in entertainment and culture that now this stuff is so easy to get. I go to just a random store and they have a Mario hat and a Minecraft sword that I can buy and use for my set. Pretty crazy. So anyway, we got a nice Mario hat. And this, of course, is the diamond sword from Minecraft. But as you can see, it's an interactive lamp. And I'm curious how you guys will like it or not. If you find it too obnoxious, I could just turn it off and we could just have it with no light at all. Because as you can see, it reacts to my voice. So we could leave it on or off. Or I could turn it on glowing, but if it glows, it's actually too bright. Like right now, it's good because it's just this part of the sword that's glowing. But if the whole thing glows, it actually is like too bright and there's no brightness adjustments. So it's either like this or I just turn it off, okay? But either way, I think it looks good for the background, okay? Let me know. I'd love your feedback. And of course, new animations. Like I said, we have animations for the podcast specifically. But then when I'm not podcasting and we're doing, just talking or hanging out on a stream, there's a different set of animations. And that one is based on all the games that I'm actually playing this month coming up. And then we have Mega Man animations exclusively for the Mega Man Marathon. Maybe I'll preview that a little bit further down the week. So pretty cool coming up. I like the new setup. By the way, swapped out the blue panels for black, as you can see in the background now. So for the month of August, a little bit different. All right, not completely different, but a little bit different, right? Refreshed. I hope that you guys will like the setup. Give me feedback, of course. Let me know what you think. So how is everyone today? What's going on? Who's here? Tobomaru, how are you? Thanks for becoming a member this morning. We got Diamond saying that I'm tan. I'm not tan at all. It's the lighting. It's hilarious if people say things like, why is Phil so tan? I'm not tan at all. It's the lighting. If I actually had, just white light on me instead of the background lighting, I'd look completely different. But that's the thing. Like, the lighting actually makes me look way different. It makes you, oh, your face looks red. I'm not. Look, it looks like my arm is red too, but it's not. My arms aren't red. It's the lighting. Dungeon Keeper's Mistress, how are you this morning? How's it going? Agent Coop, what's going on? Chris, how are you? We got Hybrid, we got Notorious Gum, Big Mac. Over on Kick, we got Super Bon Chan. We got Human Spider, Daddy Big Bucks, Parlo Key. Heretic Henry, he says no one is here. No, there's plenty of people here. And more. Wally the Tractor says my haircut looks sharp. Well, thank you. It was a long time coming. I really needed a haircut badly. Here we are in the middle of the summer. It's hot as hell. And I had longer hair, some of the longest hair that I've had in a long time, and it was bothering me. As you saw there at the end, the hair was like getting in my face and everything. So I'm very glad I was able to get a haircut during my couple of days off, because I'm coming back from 2 days off. Well-deserved. Man, did I need them after that, crazy month that I just had in July. Weird, stressful stuff going on. and then trying to come back and get caught up. And I was behind the whole month. Quite frankly, I'm still technically behind. Like if I didn't have that unscheduled week off, I probably would have played RoboCop already, and maybe even possibly did Suikoden 2. I don't know. So because we're behind by a week, playing catch up's been tough. The good news is in August coming up, there's only one new game in the entire first 3 weeks of August. It's Mafia: The Old Country. Outside of that, it's a really slow month for releases, but that's a good thing. It gives us time to play the games that we're in the midst of and try to wrap them up, maybe catch up on some of the games that I had missed. There are things at the end of the month, like the Metal Gear 3 remake and man, what's the other one? Oh, Gears of War remake. Gears of War 1 remake might be a really great multiplayer game for the rotation, something very different than the games that I've been playing recently. So I had 2 really great days off, spent some time with my wife, had a whole bunch of appointments, did a little bit of shopping, did a little bit of sprucing up, my hair and stuff, set up the office, obviously, for the new month, all kinds of stuff. And I hope that you guys are excited for my return. 7 straight days. I am here starting today all the way through Friday. So I've got a crazy, crazy week ahead of me. That's going to be fun. That's going to be exciting. Going to have lots of great playthroughs, hangout sessions, and of course, a marathon to cap it off on Friday, which I'm very excited for. And I have an update regarding, actually, which I'd like to share with you all today, because I was actually looking at the schedule. All right. And I was looking at the rest of the year, and I'm like, wait a minute. I've noticed a upcoming possible flaw in the schedule or a problem. Let me put it this way. Right now, the way we're doing it is once a month I do a marathon, right? And it works. I've been doing a marathon monthly every single month. January, February, March. Every month is a different theme. This marathon has been the first week of every month. Starting again in January, if you look, it lined up perfectly for weeks like my birthday week in April or the 4th of July Independence Day event last month. So looking at that schedule, I'm like, so I'm going to do a marathon this Friday, which is August 8th, okay? By the way, yes, I'm aware that Mafia: The Old Country comes out August 8th. We're going to play it on August 10th, that Sunday instead, okay? So, if I play it August 8th, that's great. Well, when should the next marathon be? Well, obviously it should be the first week of September. So then when should the next marathon be? The first week of October. But wait a minute. October, it's Halloween month, which means that I have a big Halloween marathon on October 31st. So now my schedule starts to get thrown into disarray because I'm realizing, if I do it this way, we're going to have a month where either there's like no marathon or there's like the marathons are not timed right. What I need to do, I need to shift my marathon schedule to basically be the last week of the month. Why? Well, because of Halloween and, of course, upcoming Christmas. Also, every year I do a marathon right around Black Friday, which is the Friday after American Thanksgiving, which also is the end of November, you see? So what I need to do is figure out an idea. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, I know what I'm going to do, but I don't know how the people are going to like it. Let's see what you guys think, all right? So here's the thing. I'm a huge fan of Mega Man. When I grew up, I loved these games. I played Mega Man 1 through 4, owned 2 through 4, and then Mega Man X I also loved. And I played the living crap out of 1, 2, and I think I rented 3. I really like the classic Mega Man series. I've only played classic Mega Man a couple of times in my 15 plus years as a YouTuber. In fact, taking a look back at the history, I've only played Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 a few times. Once way back when in like 2011, 2012, and now this year with this marathon. Now, I did play Mega Man The Wily Wars, and The Wily Wars is Mega Man 1 through 3 in like a super condensed 16-bit version. It's slightly different from the original. So technically, yeah, I have played the first 3 games a few times. This Friday will be Mega Man Marathon Part 2, where while I'm inebriated, I'm attempting to beat Mega Man 4 through 6, okay? That's going to be exciting. I don't know if I'll be able to beat them all in one sitting, but it would be cool to try. Mega Man 4, like I said, I actually owned when I was a kid, but 5 and 6 I never played. It wasn't until like 13 years ago for YouTube when I actually played 5 and 6 for the first time. I don't even know if I'm going to remember anything from them. Very well, I could suck at them and do poorly with them and barely beat them if I can, right? So here's the deal. Back in January, the Mega Man Marathon actually did really well. It was actually a really well attended and supported marathon. Certainly not the highest or anything, but it was still well done. People showed up and really liked it. But I haven't done any classic gaming since. People have been asking me all year, Phil, when are you going to go back and play Mega Man again? So finally, we found the time to do it this Friday. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I'm well aware that there's more classic Mega Man games. Mega Man went all the way up to 10, although technically not. And what I mean by that is Mega Man went all the way up to 8. And I believe 8, wasn't that on the PlayStation 1, I believe? And then it stopped. Then all of a sudden, around the Xbox 360 era, a lot of these game developers, i.e. Capcom, decided to have like this retro fix. So they revived Mega Man and brought him back for Mega Man 9 and 10, which were Mega Man games with the classic 8-bit graphics controls. And essentially they played like classic Mega Man again, only they were really, really difficult. Okay. Now, did I play those games? Yes, I did. 9, I did not play for YouTube, but 10 I did. There is a Mega Man 10 playthrough on DSPGaming from 100 years ago. In fact, that song, The Baddest of the Pimpest the Bad, fucking Proto Man, son. He's got an ass cop and a fucking shield. That song is from my Mega Man 10 playthrough, if you're not aware. So I was thinking in my head about this, and I'm like, so here's what we can do. Rather than do less, why don't we do more? Instead of doing less marathon content, if people are liking the marathons, why don't we do more? So here's what we're going to do. Okay? Are you ready for this? Okay, here's what we're going to do. On Friday, we're going to do the Mega Man Marathon Part 2, where I attempt to beat Mega Man 4 through 6. For every milestone of support, i.e. every $100 of support, I'm going to take a shot. I have a lot of different kinds of liquor this time. I have whiskey, I have tequila, I have rum, and I have those flavored 99 fruits shots. So I have like a bunch of liquor to drink during the Mega Man event on Friday. Okay? If that marathon does well, meaning if people show up and they engage and they support and it's a really good marathon, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, in the month of August, I will do 2 marathons. That's right. For the first time ever, I will actually do an additional marathon at the end of the month. Okay? So we'll do one the first week of the month, and we'll do one at the end of the month. And the last week of the month, the marathon that we'll do will basically be Mega Man Marathon 3, the conclusion, where I play Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, which includes Mega Man 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, there's no way I'm going to beat 4 Mega Man games in one stream, but at least this would give kind of a bookend to the end of the whole Mega Man saga that I've been doing this year, and we'll give it a solid try to finish them up as far as I can get. Maybe then we'll leave it open-ended that in the future, probably next year, if we wanted to do another Mega Man marathon to keep going through the classic games, we could. But that's what I was thinking. Like, if we think of it this way, if we do one at the first week of August and one at the very end, like the tail end of August, that's perfect, because then the next marathon can be at the tail end of September. And then the next marathon can be for Halloween at the end of October, and then one at the end of November, and then the Christmas marathon at the end of December. So it works. Basically, by doing an extra marathon, we're getting in line with the schedule where the marathons will now be at the end of each month. All right? So I think that'll be pretty cool, but we got to see what happens. Basically, if we do the marathon on Friday and it just doesn't do well, then I'm not going to do another Mega Man marathon, right? But the one in January did well, and people have been asking me all year, when the heck are you going back? We want to see you continue with Mega Man. You're killing us. People keep saying, well, aren't you going to play any more classic games? It's been so long. Well, you're going to get your fix this month. Just tune in this Friday the 8th, or the end of the month. What we'll do is, if the Mega Man marathon does well, we'll look at the schedule and we'll schedule the next one. Okay? Cool. Ooh, okay. So, good stuff. And I hope that you guys are excited for it. I know I am. I'm very pumped. In fact, would you like to see some of the animations that I've set up for the Mega Man Marathon? I'm trying to remember. Hold on. We'll maybe play those for a little bit. I'm trying to remember which set of animations it was. Was it This one. I guess not. Was it this one? Aha. So these animations are specifically for the Mega Man event, and I'll let these play for a little bit, and I'm excited. Obviously, like I said, I love the classics. So, all right. So, guys, that's good stuff. Now that you know what's going on with the Mega Man Marathon this Friday, I hope you'll join me all day long. Me playing classic Mega Man 4, 5, and 6, trying to beat them in one sitting while I'm drinking. There will be food as well. What we need to talk about now, we need to talk about this guy down here. We need to talk about how things are going in regards to support, because we actually have something else going on this week, as you can see. We are currently at 90 of 100 goals hit. Now, traditionally, we were doing marathons at 100 goals, but it doesn't make sense to do that now because we're already doing marathons. So instead of every 10 goals hit, we do another DSP Tries It. All right. So we just did a DSP Tries It on Wednesday, and that was Shake and Go. If you did not see DSP Tries It Shake and Go, I strongly recommend you go check out that episode over on DSP Reacts, which is at DSP Reacts on YouTube here. That was one of the best, if not the best episode that I think I've ever done. Like, no exaggeration. That was superb food. Like, I would absolutely eat there again in a heartbeat. The burger was absolutely outstanding and one of the best I've ever eaten in my life. The seafood was quite good for what it was. It wasn't, going to a sit-down gourmet restaurant, but for fast food seafood, that was some of the best I've ever had. The shake was absolutely superb and probably the best shake I've ever gotten, like from anywhere. So, check it out. Now, following along with that, at least for the next few episodes of DSP Tries It, I want to keep going to more local places, things that aren't ginormous nationwide chains like Taco Bell, McDonald's, Wendy's, and Pizza Hut. Instead, I want to do stuff that's smaller. Maybe it could be a restaurant chain, but it's not like a nationwide well-known one. Why? Because I'm actually getting insanely good food from the smaller places. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to keep doing this endlessly. I want you to know I am going to go back to doing things that are more common for DSP Tries It. But for the next few episodes, I feel like it's definitely worth doing this, because if I don't, I'm going to get burnt out eating crappy food. Like, imagine if this week I was going to get this stupid Wednesday Addams meal from Wendy's. It's so bad. It's so laughably, absolutely no effort whatsoever. I can't believe that Wendy's isn't embarrassed that they're selling it. But they apparently have management that don't give a shit. They're selling 10 nuggets, small fries, and a Frosty and claiming it's a new meal. It's not. So anyway, the next DSP Tries It, I'm going to go to a restaurant that's nearby that I have actually had many times before. So this is not a first time ever trying the restaurant. However, this restaurant's menu is extensive and they have so much. I mean, they have steaks. They have other American style classics like meatloaf and chicken, pot pie. They have pizza, actually handmade pizzas that they make fresh. They have ginormous gourmet salads. They have crazy hamburgers and sandwiches, good sides, appetizers, lots of good stuff, this place, okay? So they're called Claim Jumper. You can look them up. And in fact, I'm going to briefly just preview it for you right now so you kind of know what we're getting at here, okay? So this is the place, and just to show you the crazy kind of stuff that they do, it's all American fare, but it's a good variety of stuff. And I can tell you firsthand, unlike a place like Applebee's or whatever, their quality is ridiculously good compared to other places. Now, I'm not going to be getting the Prime Center cut filet for $55.50. In fact, a delivery steak is probably the stupidest idea you could ever have. I would never order a steak delivery. I'd be a moron. Okay. But they've got some pretty good sandwiches. As I'm looking here, maybe a mahi sandwich could be interesting. I've never had anything like that before. I mean, we just had chicken, so probably not that. Maybe a lobster BLT. I mean, that's crazy. A lobster sandwich. I probably wouldn't get a burger. Maybe I'll get a personal pizza. Look, they do little personal pizzas for $20. Or maybe a pasta dish or something. They've got a lot of stuff. They really do. They have a lot of good stuff. My goal, okay, would be to basically get something that I have never had before from said restaurant, okay, and try something different. Like, for example, I've had the black Thai chicken pasta before, but I've never had the shrimp fresca or the lobster mac and cheese or the jambalaya. So maybe I could try one of those. All right. So it's a huge menu. All right. That is what I want to do for DSP Tries It this week when we hit 100 goals. And there's a ridiculous amount of food there to pick from. So we can look at it together at some point and try to figure out, hey, what would I want to do? Do I want to try an appetizer? Do I want to try one of these crazy entrees? Do I want to do a big sandwich, right? And go from there. So let's talk about it over the course of the week. But that's the next episode of DSP Tries It, okay? Now, after that, what we need to talk about is what do we want to do next? I'd be willing to go back to fast foodie stuff if there's a good one. But I am not going to be eating some crappy repackaged food that they already sell, but then they slap a label on it or call it something different, but it's exactly the same product. I'm not eating 10 chicken nuggets from Wendy's. That's insanely stupid. So if anyone knows of something good, let me know. If not, then likely I will still order from another place that's more local. Maybe we'll revisit, like, for example, one of the things we talked about was revisiting Katsu Burger, which I tried back in November and I really liked it. So maybe we would do Katsu Burger, okay? But we'll talk about this over the course of the week. So please, let's start getting some support rolling in for the channel. That's not troll nonsense, because we had several troll messages and nonsense today, which I've ignored if you haven't noticed, okay? And if I see any more of that nonsense, I'll just ignore it. As always, don't worry. I'm not going to let the stream get derailed by bullshit, okay? Good stuff. So please, let's get some support. Let's get our first super chat of the day. Let's get our first member of the day. We already did. We got Tobamaru, who became a super supporter this morning. So let's get Tobamaru up on the leaderboard. First member of the week and the month, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Thank you, Tobamaru. And since that's a super supporter, that's around $7 a support. I believe I make $7 for every super supporter membership. So thank you, Tobamaru, for starting us this week. Let's get our first tip of the day. Let's get our first sub of the day, shall we? Chris, thank you. He says, welcome back. Thank you, Chris. Per Loki's in, I'm having homemade nachos. Oh, yeah? Per Loki, what do you put into your homemade nachos? I'd like to know. Everyone does nachos different, right? Even if you go to restaurants, the restaurants do them all different. So I'd like to hear what you put into your nachos. Let us know here in the chat, okay? Someone's name is actually disgusting name. And they said, there's a thumb with a toupee on it, all inside of televisions. I have no idea what that means, but thanks for $1.11 tip, disgusting name. Okay. Very nice. Perlo Key said, hold on, because I wanted to see. No, the name is actually disgusting name. I'm serious. It's not, I've said that. The name is actually disgusting name for that tip. Okay, so Perlo Key says beef, jalapeno, cheese, chips, and he doesn't know what else. No, wait a minute. Hold on a second. No, like, tomato or salsa or pico de gallo or anything like that? No guacamole? Like, typically nachos have some kind of Mexican classic ingredients. I'm shocked you're not having something like that. Oh, is it lettuce, tomato, and onion? Okay, so lettuce, tomato, onion, jalapeno, beef, cheese. That's not bad. That's not bad. Not bad at all. It's not crazy either. Some of these people, they do crazy stuff on their nachos. It doesn't make sense. It's pretty classic. All right. Sounds good to me. Did I get a haircut? No. No, what happened was I tripped, and then a mob of rabid dogs just started eating my hair right off my head. It was crazy. Like, it was completely inadvertent. I was trying to grow my hair out really long to look like, like a Fabio deal or something, or maybe like, oh God. I can't remember his name. The guy that looks like Jesus, that talks about me every once in a blue moon on YouTube, the big YouTuber. Guy, I forget his name. I wanted to grow my hair like him, but then the dogs ate my hair. What's really weird, though, is that the dogs moved around my head in perfect synchronization to eat evenly around the head. So, there you go. Charlie, yeah, Charlie. His long flowing locks. No, not Asmongold. Get out of here. Hilarious that they... Hilarious that they thought it was Asmongold. Although I guess Asmongold has nice long hair too. So there you go. I was trying to grow it out, but the dogs got to me. It sucks. Okay. Very good. So, good stuff, everybody. Thanks for the initial support. Please, let's keep that momentum rolling. Obviously, let's hit the goal on this stream to get the week started strong. Now, here's the deal. All right. Here's how it goes. Let's listen up because this is important. Every 10 goals, we do DSP Tries It. This is a 7-day streaming week. That means that there's actually 13 streams this week because there's 2 streams a day for the first 6 days, and then there's the marathon on Friday. So how's it going to go? Well, when we hit 100 goals, we do DSP Tries It. That could be at any point during this week. It could be within 3 days if we have some well-supported streams. It could be the end of the week during the marathon if we have some slow streams. I honestly don't know how this week is going to go. I would hope for the best, and what I would hope is that we would hit the goals within, say, 4 or 5 days. We could do DSP Tries It maybe around like Tuesday, Wednesday, but then on Friday when we're doing the Mega Man Marathon, we can still order some other food. And in that case, that'll just be my prerogative. Maybe my wife and I will look up a place and just order, and it won't be DSP Tries It. That would be a feasting with the king. Okay, that would not be dependent on hitting goals or anything like that. That would just be a meal to try during the marathon. Okay, so we'll see how the week goes. All right, but hey, the more you support, the sooner we hit the goals, the sooner we hit 100 goals, we'll be ordering food from Claim Jumper for the next episode of DSP Tries It. Likely we'll do like I just did with Shake and Go, where I'll probably get like 2 different things to taste test and either a drink or a dessert or something like that. We'll see. Okay. What's up, King Michael? How are you this morning? Good to see you. Old school RuneScape? No, save us GTA 6. We're not doing that. Okay, so this person who lied about this last week, because last week they said if I did something, they would tip me $50, and then they didn't. They lied. They tipped another $1. And they said, I'll give you $50 if you give your take on what humanity would be like if people pooped out of their nipples instead of their ass. How would society be different? Now, here's the thing. If I actually answer the question and you don't tip $50, I'm just never going to read your messages ever again, nor acknowledge your contributions ever. So now you better be ready to tip $50, all right? So what would happen is, basically the way that we defecate would be completely different, which means toilet bowls would be different. Instead of a toilet being something you sit on to go to the bathroom, it would have to be something that you lean forward into, but it would also have to be private. So basically they would have to completely redesign toilets so that it's like a porcelain thing you lean in to defecate into. And also the way that you clean up would be completely different. Like maybe you wouldn't even have toilet paper. Maybe it would be different to clean your chest up. But then again, that would be pretty disgusting. Perhaps, people wouldn't be so attracted to women's racks because then they'd be like poop on them. Then again, people are attracted to asses right now. So probably not. I have no idea. It's a stupid question. But thanks for the $1 tip. And now I'm expecting a $50 contribution following up because if I don't get it, I'm not kidding. I'm never reading or acknowledging any of your contributions ever again in history. Like never will I do that. So we better see that $50 coming. All right. All righty then. Okay, so I got so distracted. Okay, so, good stuff. Now, where do we want to begin today? Oh, so we got our first super chat of the day? No, we didn't. We have no super chat. Let's get our first super chat of the day. Let's get our first gifted sub over on Kick for the week, right? And for the month. Technically, if you gift a sub right now over on Kick, you're the first contributor on Kick for the whole month. Think about that. I know you want to be recognized as the first contributor for the month, right? So, let's go. Let's get that going. That way we'll have one of everything because we already have one membership and we already have some smaller tips. Let's get our first sub of the month and let's get our first super chat of the month, shall we? Who's going to be the first super chatter of August? Let's find out. Okay. So I hope you like the Mega Man animations. I'm going to switch back to the podcast animations now. Just for the sake of that, it makes sense because we're on the podcast. Okay. Cool. Okay. So we have a few topics to talk about today. We've already talked about the next DSP Tries It will be Claim Jumper. We've already talked about the upcoming marathon. We do have one piece of gaming news, and it's not good gaming news at all. It's really bad gaming news. All right. It's sad. It's annoying. It's frustrating. And for fans of Bioshock, it's pretty disheartening and disappointing. Okay. So let's talk about this and prepare yourself. It's going to be very bright. This website is all white for some bizarre reason, and it blinds you. Okay. It's shocking to me that in 2025 they can't realize that making their website this bright. Anyway, it's a bad day for Bioshock fans because the Bioshock 4 studio heads have been removed as development struggles while a Bioshock remake in development has been canceled. All right, pretty bad news for those who like Bioshock. I remember when I was first starting on YouTube. All right, this was 17 years ago. Bioshock was all the rage. Bioshock 1 came out to critical acclaim. People absolutely loved the game for its graphics, its narrative, its gameplay loop. Everything was very unique. It was very dark, dystopian, but it was a very unique game. And then it spawned a franchise, a sequel, and then whatchamacallit, well, I guess you could argue Bioshock Infinite really is the real sequel because Bioshock 2, although it was a sequel, was made by a different dev company or dev team, I should say, that played very different and didn't feel as polished as the first one. Okay, so it's a bad day for Bioshock fans. Why? The 2K executives are reportedly not happy with the state of Bioshock. It's been 6 years since 2K Games confirmed that Bioshock 4 was in development as a newly formed studio, Cloud Chamber. And despite that, all this time passing, it sounds like we've got a lot of waiting left. A new Bloomberg report says the in-progress game recently failed a review by 2K executives, leading to the removal of studio head Kelly Gilmore and shift of creative director Hogarth de la Plante to a publishing role, as well as a planned overhaul of parts of the game itself. Well, let's think about this. They've been working on Bioshock 4 for 6 years. They finally presented the game and its narrative and its core foundations to management, and the management basically said, "What the hell are you doing? It took you 6 years to come up with this?" And then they basically kicked one person out and shuffled another person over to a completely different role. Damn. Well, that's pretty bad, quite honestly. If you're not aware, the person and or people who were involved in the original Bioshock no longer work for 2K Games. In fact, they're working on another game called Judas, and that game is apparently coming out soon. I don't know if it has a set release date, but that's supposed to be the spiritual successor to Bioshock. Okay? It's really weird how a lot of these games that were huge and popular and synonymous with a certain era of gaming, now you have two different groups working on them because you have the studio that owns the rights attempting to make a sequel. And then you have the people who actually made the original game who quit that studio, making a game that they're claiming is the spiritual successor. And they're going on at exactly the same time. This happened, if you don't remember, with Dead Space a few years ago, where Dead Space 1 was getting remade by EA, but then the people who made the original made their own game in Callisto Protocol. It was a mess. It was a big mess when those games came out. It was pretty confusing, and sadly, neither franchise will survive because Callisto Protocol flopped, and then EA said that the Dead Space remake didn't sell enough, so they canceled it, meaning the franchise, because they had plans to make more, and then they just canceled them all. Bookworm just made an interesting point in chat I'm going to bring up right now. He says, if this game was in the works for 6 years, maybe there's a chance what they were making was woke, and now that the studio heads have seen it, said, no, it's too late for that. That fad's over. You got to go back to the drawing board, and then basically fired everyone and shuffled everybody around, right? You might be right. It's like I've said, the problem is with modern game development, it seems like these game developers and or studios are chasing trends. But a lot of the times when a game development window is so long, it takes too long to make the game, and by the time the game's coming out, the trend's over, right? Like, take a look at Dragon Age Veilguard. That game, if it released in like 2021, probably would have done well. But it released in 2024 when the whole woke fad is over. People don't want that content anymore, and the game was completely destroyed and flopped. So, yeah, they may have something there. You may. Okay, so continuing on. 2K Games confirmed the change in leadership at Cloud Chamber, saying it's fully committed to ensuring that we deliver a Bioshock game that exceeds the lofty expectations of our fans. We're working hard to set Bioshock up for the best possible future, 2K told Bloomberg. Right now, we have a good game. We're committed to delivering a great one. We're working closely with leadership at the studio to define this path. Now, I do want to say something before we move on to the next part of the story. They got to be careful here. And here's what I mean. When you take too long to make something, you may lose that original fan base who you think that you're trying to please by taking so long. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it is true that Bioshock had a huge fan base over a decade ago. Bioshock Infinite came out in what, 2013? So now you're talking 12 years later. Does this gaming generation care about Bioshock? You've got a whole new generation of people who are consuming and playing games and buying them in the millions. Do they even know what it is? So do they care? See what I mean? Like, at one point, the statement, would you kindly, was, oh my God, it's like pop culture, mainstream noticeable. Now you say that, people are like, what are you talking about? Would you kindly? I don't even know what that means. See? So they might have taken too long. And that's sad that they may actually make a really good Bioshock game in the long run. But if it takes 10 years to make and it comes out, is anyone going to care? I mean, I will, but that doesn't mean everyone will. Anyway, let's continue. Despite that commitment, sources told the site some Cloud Chamber employees are worried about layoffs. Workers were reportedly told during a recent all-hands meeting the studio needs to be more agile, and we all know what that means. Bioshock 4's narrative was cited by the sources as a particular area of concern. That's a bigger deal for Bioshock than most other shooters, because Bioshock's most memorable moment involves beating a man to death with a golf club because he really wanted to make a point about free will. And while Bioshock Infinite's thematic mess has not aged especially well, at least an attempt was made. There's an expectation that Bioshock 4 will bring similar relatively weight ponderances to the table. Of course, Cloud Chamber has to do without Ken Levin. That's who we were talking about. Ken Levin left, and he's making his own game called Judas, okay? The writer and creative director of Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite, he's working on Judas, a very Bioshock-looking shooter that's been in development for almost as long as Bioshock 4. It doesn't have a release date yet either. Bioshock 4's ongoing struggles aren't the only bad news. Bloomberg report also says 2K Games had a remake of the original Bioshock in development, but canceled it earlier this year. A reason wasn't provided. Now, here's the thing, okay? For me, I think I know why. Because here's the thing. They probably wanted to have this remake come out in tandem with the new Bioshock, right? How do you get people into Bioshock again? By remaking the original in a modern way with better graphics and tweaks and things. So now it appeals to the new generations. The point I was just making. When you waited this long for a new Bioshock game to come out, you probably lost an entire generation of people who don't even know what it is. So re-release the first game with new additions, improvements, maybe even adding in new parts of the game, new narrative, new parts of the city of Rapture and stuff like that. Get more people playing it, and then people will know what it is again and want to play the new one. But if they were thinking, oh, maybe within the next year we can release Bioshock 4, and then they go to review it and they look at it and they're like, this is dog shit. This looks awful. We don't want to sell this. No one's going to buy this. So then they end up firing one lead, and they bring another guy in, right, to be, part of they shuffle everyone around. So now they're back to the start. So what's the point of making a Bioshock remake if now they're years out from releasing Bioshock 4 again? So why put your time and effort and money into the remake when it's going to be worthless? Like, what if the remake came out next year, but then Bioshock 4 doesn't come out for another 3 years? Well, no one's going to remember the remake, you see? So it's bad news all around. It was funny because people were just talking about this the other day. We were just talking about this, that, Bioshock, where is it? Are they making a new one? I said, yeah, the reports are they were making a new one, but now it ain't looking good. I don't know. There was just something about that era, that whole 2010 to like 2013 era of gaming. For me, that was like the modern golden age. I mean, the golden age is really the era of like, Nintendo and then SNES, Genesis. That was really the formative years of what gaming would become. But when you're looking about this stuff, right? And basically, when you're looking about this stuff. When you're looking at this stuff and you think about all the era that I've been a YouTuber, really it was like those 3 years, every single month, there was a huge new game coming out that was absolutely outstanding, right? It was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely groundbreaking. New uh genres, new IPs, great stories were being written, games were breaking the mold and doing original things. Bioshock and that series was definitely one of them, you know? And now, here we are in 2025, and every month we got a million games coming out, but they all feel the same. They all feel like, oh, this is something I've already played. It's just the next iteration. It's the next company that's trying to jump on this bandwagon of this genre already being popular. So they want to make a buck off of the work of others by just making another one in that series. And quite frankly, it doesn't feel the same at all. Even being a content creator today, I'm happy that now the reason that people come to my streams is as much for the game as it is to hang out with me. So even if the game ain't so good, we still have a good time. But there was an era when it was all about the games being amazing, and it's not anymore. Really, it's not. It's just half these games are just lackluster junk. Spend $80 in tax to play a game that feels like the same 5 you already played. Like, what are they doing? Can you believe that franchises like Assassin's Creed that once were at the top of the world have fallen from grace so badly and now no one cares about these games? Have you heard a single person talk about Assassin's Creed Shadow in the last 3 months? I rest my case just on there. You know, like, what else needs to be said? So, yeah, it is sad. But man, I hope that Bioshock comes back. I really do. I hope that great games like that will come back, and eventually we will have franchises and IPs and things that people want to follow again. It feels like we don't anymore. It feels like the era of having that level of excitement over a game franchise is gone, and that's really sad. Okay. All right, guys. So that's what I had to cover for my topics for today. Don't worry, there'll be more topics to cover. Like someone's yelling at me, what about Battlefield? Battlefield, Battlefield. We'll talk about Battlefield eventually. I don't think we'll talk about it today. Maybe we'll talk about Battlefield tomorrow. Maybe I'll look up some gameplay. We'll watch that trailer like we talked about. I am aware that Battlefield is having waves of betas coming out. They have an early beta, but only for people who like buy the game early, which I'm not doing. And then they have another beta, but it's the weekend of my marathon and Mafia 2, so that's stupid. So what I may do is Battlefield 6 is doing an open beta like the week after that. So maybe I'll do that beta and just play in that one. But likely that's what I'll end up doing is I'll probably play in the open beta that happens the week after and see what it plays like and go from there. Okay? And I'll be playing that on mouse and keyboard here. First time in a lot of months that I'll actually be playing an FPS game on mouse and keyboard. It should be pretty cool. But let's take a look. Let's maybe tomorrow, something for the podcast, you know, bring up all the Battlefield stuff. We'll see if we can do the Battlefield 6 stuff and get a good look at that and see what I think. Because I haven't seen any of it yet, to be frank. I haven't. I haven't seen it at all. I save it for the show. That way I'm not spoiled and I can react, you know, honestly to it when I see it for the first time. Excuse me. Okay. You want channel points? You have channel points. You're getting them right now. You're earning them for being in chat. No worries. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you, Satan. Satan says, nice haircut. Thank you. All right. So here's the deal. We got through all the topics that I wanted to get through today. We can do some month beginning Q&A. Right? Tag me in the chat, whether you're on Kick or you're on YouTube. Let's see what you guys want to talk about. Let's get some support rallying. All right. Today, after this podcast, it's Luto Part 2. Today, I'm probably going to beat the game because everyone has said that the game is pretty short. We already played it for around 2.5 hours. So likely today we'll beat Ludo and see what the ending is like and go from there. I'm excited to see, you know, what more the game has in store because it's been an interesting thriller so far. And we're getting twists and turns in the plot. So can't wait to see what it'll be. Remember, we went down to a basement and there was some kind of a ghost, and we don't even know what the ghost was. It might have been the ghost of your brother because it mentioned that your brother was sickly and passed away when you were a kid. So maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But we'll find out more. So Ludo today, and then tonight on the late stream, GTA 4 with mods continues. here on DSP Gaming. And if it does well tonight and we hit a support goal, I will bring it back to a day stream later in the week, and we'll see how it does as a day stream again. Okay? All right, cool. All right, well, we start off with Princess Luna, who just did our first super chat of the month here on DSP Gaming, $10. Princess Luna says, most modern games are too corporate and sterile. They're afraid to take risks, and they just copy what makes them money, so they all end up feeling the same. They make fun. They took the fun out of games for profit. You're right. What ended up happening was, and this is what happens with every major entertainment medium, it got too corporate. Do you think that the musician that sits down and writes their heart out with lyrics that mean something personally to them, that plays their music in a small recording studio and then puts it out locally, gets viral popularity, spreads, finally gets signed to a label, right? Do you think that first album is more meaningful? Or do you think album number 5, where they had a 5 contract deal to put out 5 albums, and now they're making this music, literally writing lyrics for the sake of, I have to write this song because I'm contractually obligated to do so. All the music is now just made synthesized in the studio by computers. It's auto-tuned, and they're just pumping it out to make another album for profits. Which do you think is more meaningful, and which do you think is the better album? It's the same exact thing with video games. You know, the era of the 80s and 90s, and even to some extent the 2000s, early 2010s, were more of the early developmental fundamental years where games were meant as works of art and or fun, addictive gaming experiences. After a while, somewhere there in the 2010s, corporations got their hooks into it and said, well, now games must be products to be mass produced, pumped out, and to become a revenue stream for us, these corporate bigwigs in charge of the companies, but also the shareholders. That is probably the dumbest thing you could ever do, because an artistic medium needs to be just that, artistically driven. It has to have a meaning behind it, whether it conveys an emotion or an idea or something meaningful. When you do something that's art, you should have some kind of a feeling or a movement or something, not, oh, look, here's something someone made to make money. What the difference between going to a restaurant where a chef pumps out a meal where they want you to have an experience versus you went to McDonald's and you bought the Big Mac? Do you think there's a difference there? Here's the problem. When you go to the gourmet restaurant to get the 5-star meal, you probably pay a few $100s. When you go to McDonald's, you probably pay $8 to $10 for the Big Mac. I know that sounds ridiculous, but they actually do charge that for a Big Mac now. But you see there's a discrepancy in price. Now take a look at video games. Is there a discrepancy in price? Every game's turning out to be $70, $80 now. So there's no pricing difference. It would be one thing if you paid $80 for the gourmet meal game that's amazing and a memorable experience, and then you only paid $20 for the cheap piece of crap that's just a cash-in experience. But that's not the case. All games are expensive, yet they're all crap. Do you see the difference? That's the problem now with modern games. They're charging more for the thing that's the cash in and meant only to print money, and it has no inspiration, no artistic value whatsoever. It's play it for a minute, you're done, on to the next, or, oh, get hooked by an addictive gameplay loop. But what's the point? Why am I doing this? To get addicted to the gameplay loop so you keep spending money. Not because, because it's amazing, it's groundbreaking, it's changing my life, I'm getting meaning out of this, it's memorable and fun and artistic. No, it's grind, keep inserting money to grind more. So, yeah, games have changed a lot in the last 10 to 15 years that I've been a YouTuber. That's for damn sure. All you got to do is take a look at some of the playthroughs that I did early on versus some of these playthroughs that we do now of modern games, and you just shake your head. I can't even play the modern games. I just quit them. Can you imagine if I suffered through all of Assassin's Creed Shadows? That would have been like 50 wasted hours of my life that I could never get back. And it's the same company that pumped out the original Assassin's Creed 2 trilogy and Assassin's Creed Black Flag, these amazing experiences. And now they're literally just dumping turds into a game box and saying, here you go, $80. It's sad. It's embarrassing. It really is. So someone threw the $1.50 and says, do you think streamers are part of the problem? They see games as revenue streams and artificially inflate the worth of a game. Have you ever caught yourself seeing games as a revenue stream and less as art to be scrutinized? No, and here's why, because I don't think that I'm influential enough to do anything like that, right? Like, for example, you could argue that American Truck Simulator isn't a great game. It's a passable game for someone who wants to act like they're driving a truck. Yet, Truck Simulator has been one of the more successful stream series that I've done in the last 2 months, right? But does that mean that I'm artificially inflating the popularity of Truck Simulator because it makes me money? No. No one cares that I'm playing trucks. No one's rushing out to buy Truck Sim because DSP is playing it with his wheel set up and he drinks a couple alcoholic beverages when he plays it. It's not selling like hot cakes or anything like that, right? Now, to some extent, perhaps big streamers, this is the case. You got guys out there that they're literally handed a game and said, hey, play our game, and we're actually going to pay you to play it. This is actually a promotional opportunity for you. Here it is. Make a series of videos or streams of our game. Just play it. And because these people have such giant exposure, right? They have such an audience that watch them, that literally just the fact that they played the game could sell hundreds to thousands of copies of said game. And the funny part is, they may never play the game again. They could play it once and drop it, and it will still do that because they have such an insane audience of people who are obsessed with them and follow their every move and think that everything they do is amazing and they got to do it too. I don't think anyone's doing that with me. I think with me, you understand that my game streams are chill sessions. We hang out. We enjoy the game together. We enjoy each other's company. I tell you honestly what I think about the game, and you could have whatever opinion you want of that. A lot of people take my opinions and say, okay, this is a judgment of whether I'll like it and I'll get it. And others are like, oh, I don't believe anything Phil says anyway. So it doesn't really matter, I don't think. Honestly, what I really say about a game. I am not an influential person, right, when it comes to this kind of stuff anymore. At one point, I would say yes, I was influential. I'm not anymore. But these big influencers, these giant streamers, yeah, they can absolutely have a big effect on the industry depending on what they decide to shill because they're getting paid to do so. And it happens all the time. There's all these, anyone who's ever playing a game early, they got it early, you can't get it yet. That's a promotional stream. 100% because they got it early. That's paid advertisement. And people don't really get that part of the industry. A lot of the times they get fooled and they think that, oh, my favorite content creator is really a great gamer. Dude, like, how ignorant can you be? They literally are doing it for money. They're literally getting either monetary compensation to play that game early, or they're going to make money on that early stream. Maybe they're not paid directly, but they know for a fact they're making bank just having that game early. And therefore, that is not an honest stream. That's paid advertisement. It's been like this for about 10 years, but people are very ignorant when it comes to this kind of stuff. Do you really think a real gamer would only play a game once or twice and then just drop it, even if it's a good game that they like and their audience likes? They're doing it on purpose. That's their model, right? All right. What else would you guys like to talk about this morning? We have some extra time to discuss whatever you'd like. What's on your minds? So I think China will bring something new to gaming. Very well, they may be. They have not really been an influential force in gaming, until recently. A game like Black Myth Wukong, right? So absolutely, in that regard, I think that they could actually become a big influential part of gaming. But we have to see. Hopefully they don't just pump out mobile game crap, right? We don't need 700 Genshin Impacts. What we need is some meaningful games. I think they have the possibility to do it. Honestly, I think that Black Myth Wukong was a good first attempt. I don't think, for me, it didn't hit the spot. For me, I got halfway through the game and I was so bored. It was just too empty, too repetitive. It didn't have that feeling of like every area is a unique area designed to entertain or challenge me. It felt like, here's a good part, and now here's a giant empty part that's boring. right? And that was the big problem. Was like some of the bosses were just so grindy and uninspired. Some areas were just completely empty. And then, oh, look, a mini boss out of nowhere. What is this? It didn't feel like the game was even finished. And that's why halfway through, I was so bored. It's sad because that game had such potential. And at first, there was hype behind it. But once I played it for like a week and a half, people were bored to tears of it. Like, yeah, I don't blame you. I really do feel like the game was massively overhyped because number one, it was out of a Chinese studio. It was one of the first games from a Chinese studio that was supposed to be like a major game. And it was a Souls-like, Souls-like. What it had for it going, it looked pretty. That's what the big thing was for me. It looked pretty. But no, I do think that China could eventually be a pretty influential game developer. I do believe that. Yes, I'm aware. That's what RGB Lover, that's what I was saying. I'm going to probably partake in that second open beta that they are doing for Battlefield 6. Because Battlefield 6 has 3 betas. The first beta is for, I think if you bought the game already, which is ridiculous. The second beta is next weekend, but next weekend I'm busy. I got the marathon and we got the premiere of Mafia. So that's more important. So I'll probably partake in that second open beta, which will be like the next week. And I'll probably try to do it on PC. That way we get the best graphics, and I'll try to play with keyboard and mouse and see how it plays. Hopefully well. What is my take on YouTube requiring ID to watch starting August 13th? So there is this thing going on from what I'm to understand. This is all based on the UK. This is all based on the United Kingdom. That apparently in the United Kingdom, they've passed a law, and this law they're claiming is supposed to like protect minors or something. But what's ended up happening is that this law has had big sweeping reach across the globe where a lot of websites now are like, well, we have to do age verification. There's nothing we can do. The law is telling us that if we want to have you have access to this particular website, we have to have age verification. And apparently it's like every site. It's not even like just a few sites. Because some people were like, oh, well, that'll just be adult-oriented sites and stuff like that. But apparently, no, that's not the case. It's like every site where you have an account and you have to log in and you can view content and stuff. So any social media site whatsoever, any video uploading site, any streaming site, what they're going to do is they have to verify that you're an adult to watch the adult content. If not, I guess somehow they could be liable. Now, here's my question. How? Because here in the United States, we have a law, and that law protects websites and businesses from that. For example, right now, I guarantee you there's illegal content on YouTube right now. Videos of people being hurt, maimed, and injured, killed even, right? Illegal videos that shouldn't be on the site. But the reason that YouTube does not get into trouble for it in the United States is because there's this law that says they're protected from it. They are required to have a means to have illegal content removed. That is part of the law. But they can't be held accountable for someone just mass uploading content to the site. Okay? That is why there is so much illegal content on a place like YouTube. Stuff that's copyright infringing, stuff that's actually defamatory. There's no law that says they have to review any content before it goes live. The only thing they have to do is, if given enough notice, legal notice, they have to take it down. Okay? So that's how it's always been up to now. Now, the question is, how did things change because of this UK law? I guess this UK law is now saying that they are accountable and that they have to do age verification, that if a minor has access to content that should be rendered adults only, that the business cannot be sued. And therefore now, like, every single website needs to have an age verification tool. And I guess I've been reading up on this because it's been all over social media. I guess what they're saying is, on YouTube, they're going to run an AI algorithm to try to determine your age. And if the AI algorithm thinks that you're under 18, YouTube is going to require you to actually prove your age. Okay? Now, we all know how well YouTube's AI algorithms work. I mean, they're absolutely foolproof and they never misidentify any content or anything, right? Never. Oh, no. Totally not. A million cases of it not working, right? So I'm just very confused about how it's going to work. I feel like some websites it'll work fine, others it's going to be a huge nightmare mess. Now, I could be wrong, but I think you isn't it just simply there can be a disclaimer when you go to log into a site that says you must click here to enter or something like that? Like let's say for example, you're about to watch a video that's flagged for adults only. Maybe there's a block. It says, you must click here to verify that you are 18 years of age and you consent to watching this video. And if you click yes, then the video plays. Wouldn't that cover that? Maybe not. Again, I don't understand the UK law that passed. So maybe that's not. Maybe it's different. I don't know. And I guess, right, YouTube I guess they did something quickly in the UK, but now it's rolling like worldwide in August or something. Here's the thing. I'm not concerned. Why? Well, my analytics outright tell me the vast majority of my viewers are adults. It's very, very small amount of my viewers are under the age of 18. Also, my content is not flagged as adults only because it's not. I'm not here talking about strong sexual content. I'm not here talking about, this kind of stuff that would be flagged as, adults only. So I'm not worried about it. Everyone who watches my stuff is an adult. I don't think that all of a sudden overnight, half of the people who watch me are going to be identified as children on YouTube and now they have to upload their IDs and shit. I don't think that's going to happen. All right. So for me, it's not a concern. But for these YouTubers and content creators who literally have a child audience, Mr. Beast, who literally the vast majority of his viewers are children, or any of these Fortnite YouTubers who all of the people who watch their content are children, they might be in trouble. Because you may see a whole big bunch of their viewers not able to watch their content anymore. Especially, like, for example, with Mr. Beast, he runs a lot of contests, and those contests could be actually categorized as a form of gambling. And they might say, well, we don't want kids involved with that. So they could flag his content that kids can't watch it if it involves a contest or gambling and stuff. And now 90% of his audience is gone. Because I hate to tell you guys, adults don't watch that shit. Adults aren't watching that crap. All of these big influencers who have, but they have billions of viewers. Yeah, children. Children whose parents don't do a good job of parenting and let them do whatever they want on the internet. And they watch these clowns act like idiots and or be completely disingenuous, Pied Pipers of kids, leading them down off a cliff. It's sad, but that's what's happened with the biggest content creators, right? That's how it was. It's sad because I feel like, okay, I'll say this. I feel like there was a generation of creators who was really hard on guys like PewDiePie because, like PewDiePie, I don't think when he made content, he was trying to make it for kids, but that's what it became. Like, that became his audience, whether he liked it or not. And so, therefore, later on down the road, he ended up being held to a stronger standard because they were like, dude, your audience is a bunch of kids. To which he was like, yeah, but I didn't want that. That's not what I intended. But now, then he had all this scrutiny on him and all of this kind of eyes on him. And sadly, I hate to say it, because of some mistakes that he made, it hurt everyone who was a content creator. I don't actually, it's funny because now you look at it like 10 years later, and I look at the situation, I'm like, it's probably not fair. I mean, the guy's filthy rich and will be fine for the rest of his life. Doesn't matter that he made mistakes, but his reputation for a while there, everyone kind of like really drug him through the mud because of a few things that he said on a couple of streams. And it's like, yeah, but should he really have had that level of, eyes on him, accountability? Why did that happen? Because kids watched him. And people were like, someone like him who has that level of control and clout and views shouldn't be saying and doing stuff like that. But what happened was people saw guys like PewDiePie and Markiplier and the kind of influence they had on kids. And they said, how can I take what they've done and perfect it? How can I turn it into a money-making deal, right? How can I get the mass amount of viewers so that I can just bank on this shit? And now you've got entire channels based on stunts, pranks, contests, this garbage content. And they have millions of subs and millions of viewers, and they make insane amounts of money. They're millionaires based on this garbage content that basically preys upon children. And they learned that by seeing how guys like PewDiePie and Markiplier and stuff stumbled into it inadvertently, but they did it intentionally. So as hard as, at one point, I really ragged on PewDiePie. And I was like, man, what an asshole, because what he's saying and doing is hurting all content creators. Now I go back and I look at that and I'm like, that probably wasn't fair. At the same time, the guy, again, is so ridiculously affluent, it doesn't matter. It's not like, oh, you were mean to him, so now his life is ruined. No, you were mean to him and he's filthy rich for the rest of his life and he doesn't care, right? But now you've got a whole new generation of these people who are preying on the young. And sadly, we have another generation of parents who aren't parenting their kids and just letting them do whatever they want on the internet. They're not warning them against these predatory actions of these content creators. And so now this stuff is happening. And now, now a law passes. Well, now we have to make sure that kids are protected from this stuff. So now everything has to change. I don't know. Again, I don't understand the UK law. All I know is that apparently for what they're saying is if you're a kid, your whole account will be treated differently. There's going to be age verification. There's going to be all kinds of shit that's going to happen. And people are wondering how much this is going to change websites. It ain't going to change my audience. You guys are all adults. There's not a single child watching me. If you are, you should tune out immediately. You're going to be bored to tears. This is not a stream for a child to watch. That's for sure, right? Drew, I don't know what you're talking about. Did you ask me a question? If you did, I missed it. Drew is upset that I haven't answered their question yet, but I don't even know what they asked. I missed it. See, Diamond, I haven't heard of that. Diamond says, Phil, it's not if you're a kid. Adults will have to verify their age, and that's the problem. I don't think it's a problem. Right now, if YouTube said, we want you to prove your identity, give us this information so that you can continue to use the site, I would say, okay, I don't care. What do I care? What? Okay, let me ask if people want to have this discussion because I'm not understanding it. What is the problem with this? What information is being asked for? Why do you think this is an issue? What exactly is the issue here? Trolls care. Well, of course trolls care because trolls don't want to be held accountable. Trolls want to be anonymous. Normal people don't care. That information can be stolen by third parties. That's absolutely correct. 100%, that's correct. So, for example, if YouTube is going to say, we require you to send us a picture of your ID to prove who you are, and you're required to do that, they should be legally accountable to keep your information private and protected. And if ever there's a leak, you should be able to sue them for a ridiculous amount of money so that they have to pay you for your identity being stolen or leaked. It's hilarious because I'm reading stuff. It's some of the most unhinged, weird, radical things I've ever heard. Someone just said, oh, you'll send YouTube your information, but you didn't want to get a real ID driver's license. What? What? I didn't want to get a real ID driver's license. Where do you get your insane conspiracy theories from? Really? Like, what crazy fucking Kool-Aid do you drink? Where did that even come from? You're insane. Who even knows where that narrative came from? But they'll believe it. If you don't know, what a real ID driver's license is that in the United States, it just changed this year. If you want to fly anywhere, you need to have a higher level of identity verification. It can't just be a driver's license anymore. It used to be able to. Now, they make you verify more information. Like, for example, they might want to see your birth certificate. They might want to see a marriage certificate. They might want to see mail or things to prove that you live where you say you do. It's a better level of security because I guess what they're arguing is that people were finding ways around getting a driver's license, and they were getting ones that were fake and shit, and then they were using that to fly, and basically their identity was completely forged and faked. So real ID is the way in our country to make a stronger level of identification, supposedly. I really don't know that it does or doesn't, but that's what it is. I don't know what the hell if someone is actually saying, I didn't want to get a real ID. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about. You're an idiot. Oh my God. The point I'm making here is right now, I agree with everyone 100% that if this kind of information is going to be given out, that companies need to be more responsible with said information. There's been too many accounts of data breaches, bad security, incorrect security, and your account may be compromised. We recommend that you change your password, and we recommend that we change your login email, and we recommend. How about you don't fuck off and screw up and give the information out? How about you actually have security that works? And then if your security fails, you're accountable, and we sue you into oblivion and make a lot of money because you're a jerk and you didn't do your job, right? Okay. So if YouTube is going to require, hey, if you want to view this kind of content, you actually have to verify that you're 18 years of age or older. All right, how do we do that? You got to give your name and address. All right, fair enough. You got to give your social security number. Ooh, now we're getting pretty scary, because your social security number can definitely be seen as something that's risky stuff. And if someone has it, they could probably mess with you. They could probably try to copy your identity, do identity theft and stuff, right? We want your driver's license. Oh, here we go again. If someone has your actual driver's license number, they can kind of mess around in certain ways, right? So if YouTube is going to ask for that next level besides just the basic name and address and date of birth, then they have to give assurance that they're actually going to do something better than that, right? And essentially, if they fail to protect that information, they need to be held accountable, period. There's no other question here. Like, I don't think the issue is that you have to prove who you are, because normal people who use things normally don't care. You want to know who cares? These fucking people who fuck with people online. People who know what they're doing is both morally and in some cases legally wrong, and they don't want to have their real life identity attached to their behavior online. If you literally run an entire YouTube channel based on defaming someone, you don't want to have a chance that your real information is there and someone could find it out, and then they put it on the internet, and the next thing you know, you're facing repercussions for your heinous actions. That's what it is. That's really the problem. It's not, oh, the common person. The common person doesn't give a fuck. The common person literally puts all of their information on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram right now. The common person is too dense and dumb and ignorant to realize that putting their information on the internet is a huge liability that can lead to systematic harassment that could mess with your life. They don't get that, because the common person usually isn't affected by that stuff, right? So they don't care. They already have all their information everywhere, and they give it away 20 times a day. So that's not the issue. The issue is with people who are so afraid that their information is now going to make them accountable for shit that they're doing on the internet. Anyway, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what happens further. But hopefully this isn't something that's going to negatively affect, a lot of people. If it does, that sucks. But what can you do? Again, hopefully people get sued, right? Well, I'm sorry to hear that your nachos are cold, per low-key. Why don't you just warm them up? Why not toss them in the oven at the microwave? Why are you just sitting here crying in the chat that your nachos are cold? Why don't you warm them? All right. So, guys, we have a little bit of extra time. We have time, a little bit more discussion. Please tag me in the chat. Now, it would be great to get some more support, guys. We're now nearing the end of the podcast, and we only got $20 of support. And the last time this happened was last Sunday when I came back from break and we played Ludo. And do you remember what happened? We didn't hit the goal when we played Ludo because we basically had a really slow podcast. So let's get some better support right now. Let's get another super chat. Let's get a tip more than $2. All right. Let's get our first gifted sub of the month. Let's do that right now. Let's get someone to gift a sub. Okay. We do have a super supporter member here with Tobamaru. Thank you so much, Tobamaru, for that. Well, let's get some more support. Let's, at the very least, let's get to $50 by the end of the show. So that way we have at least a good head start as we're heading into Ludo, okay? Am I going to play Ninja Gaiden Ragebound? Isn't that the 2D Ninja Gaiden that's coming out? I don't know. These kind of 2D games, they don't do very well when I try to play them, the more throwback style games when they come out. I would tend to, since I'm already doing a Mega Man marathon once, if not twice this month, that maybe I should save it for that, the retro style stuff. I don't know. Thank you, King Michael. King Michael likes my haircut. Ideal Realism, how are you? Where'd I get the Mario hat? A store. Do I have any action figures? No, I don't. I don't collect action figures or anything like that. You like that? You like the Minecraft sword lighting up? I hope you do. I don't want to have it on all the time. Like, you could have it solid or you could have it pulsate, but they're both too bright. Having it go this way actually looks better. So hopefully that looks good to you. If not, we just turn off the light entirely. I think it would still look fine even without the light, quite frankly. Someone sent $2 and said, you know what we want you to talk about? Talk about it, get the money. All right. So the week that I wasn't able to stream in July, the truth of the matter is, I was in Poland. No, I will not be watching Evo this weekend. I don't care. Much like every single year, I don't care about Evo at all. Street Fighter 6, I'm not really interested in anymore. So there's no reason for me to watch or care about that. And there's just nothing there of interest to me. Like, seriously, if I were to go to Evo, like, let's say, for example, I were actually going to Evo this weekend, I would be interested in, like, some cool merch, right? Maybe some clothing or some stuff that I could buy that I could use in my set, something like that. Or maybe getting my hands on some of the new fighting games early, like playing this new Marvel Tokon or whatever the fuck it's called, trying that, or trying the Invincible game, like that. I literally have zero interest in any of the competitive nature of Evo. Zero. I didn't give a shit. I will not be watching a single moment of stream. I won't be caring at all. So, to be honest, I had completely forgotten that this weekend was Evo until you just mentioned it in chat. I had forgotten. I knew that it had been earlier in the week, but it had completely disconnected. I didn't even realize it was Evo. What exactly does it say on my YouTube button? YouTube, DSPGaming, congratulations for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. That's what it says. That's it. How far am I into Death Stranding 2? I'm about halfway in, from what I'm to understand. We're about halfway through the story. We're around 26 hours in. It is a long game, so we might be playing it for the rest of August. Kojima only makes long games. How long were the original Metal Gear games? I don't know. I never played them. I actually never played any of the original Metal Gear, so I wouldn't know. How do I stay resilient when it comes to trolling? I pay no attention to it. I don't care. I don't care about any of it. I'm doing my own thing here. I have zero thoughts in my head about trolling today. I was like, oh, this is great. We're coming back. Fresh new month. Great new setup. Let's talk about the streams. Let's talk about the marathon and my ideas. Let's talk about the new DSP Tries It. Let's talk about this Bioshock thing. I'm not thinking about trolls. You guys are, because you keep trying to bring it up. I don't care about them. Fuck do I care? Super Bonchan, I'm not educated on that subject. He says, since you used to help organize tournaments, how would you fix Evo if you were put in charge? I don't know. I don't pay attention to Evo. I don't know how they run it. I have no clue. I don't know what format they're running it on. I don't know how it works. I pay no attention. I don't care. I would care more if I cared about the games, but I don't. Like I said, with Street Fighter 6, I did care about Street Fighter 6 for about a year and a half. I don't care about it anymore. I'm very bored with it. Again, more power to people who like it. Good for you. Enjoy what you like. For me, the game has gotten insanely boring. Just playing CVS 2 for 2 months has been so much fun for me that I don't wish to go back to the game where you just play a pattern and you do boring combos and you just go to the corner and guess. It's just super boring. It's nothing like that playing CVS 2. It's actually intelligence to it and fun to it. So I don't care about the game. Therefore, I don't care about how the tournaments are run. I don't even know what format it's on. Do they play it on PC? Do they play it on PS5? I don't even know. And I don't care at all. Would I consider building another Lego set? Yes. Where are the Lego sets that I built? They are in the closet in storage. I will pull them out from time to time. For example, I really like that piranha plant, and I probably will use that in the setup as part of the background from time to time. I think that's a nice thing to have. You know, it fits nicely onto the sides and stuff. So you will see the Lego sets return in the future at some point for sure. There is no super chat. The only super chats that I received are Princess Luna and someone who got banned for being a troll. That's it. There's no other super chats. That's false. You can see super chats publicly, so there's no way that someone could say they sent one and didn't come through. That's, you know, it's a completely lie, or it's a technical issue on YouTube's side, in which case I'm also not involved. All right, guys, is that it? All right. I thought you guys would have more to talk about, but I guess not. All right. Well, guys, this week will be interesting. I think tomorrow on the show, perhaps we can look into Battlefield 6, because I've not seen it. So maybe we look at some of the gameplay of Battlefield 6 and that trailer and stuff, and go from there and see what it's all about tomorrow. I think that'll be a fun thing to do on the show. We are going to be skipping the podcast a couple of days this week as well. Like I said, I don't need to do the podcast every day if we don't have things to talk about. Today we absolutely did. Tomorrow we should, but let's maybe do, you know, a couple days without it. Maybe like Monday we skip the podcast so I could do more gameplay of like Donkey Kong Bonanza. Okay, sorry. Got distracted there for a second. No, Kick, to my knowledge, Kick has not fixed the channel point stuff, so sadly, no highlighted messages. Not until they fix it. I can't, you guys have to understand I'm operating a business. I have to be professional. I can't be held accountable for the way that people act in a chat or whatever. So I have to be able to moderate. I cannot have people doing these highlighted messages that have the N-word in them, that have people's personal doxing information in them. I can't do it. So because of that, we can't use those messages until the issue is fixed. I have not been notified that anything has been fixed. Okay? Princess Luna did another super chat. I liked having the succulents in your background. I think from time to time, it'll be nice to do different kinds of backgrounds. Maybe like we could bring those back for spring times. Like, oh, it's spring month, you know, we have like stuff like that. The thing is, we will have themed background months for like, you know, October and December, but we could always have stuff in between as well. So thank you, Princess Luna, for the $5 super chat. MK trilogy has been added to the MK collection. Has the MK collection actual lineup been announced? Scheduled for September 30th. So it's going to have Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat Trilogy PS1 edition. I actually had the Nintendo 64 edition. It's going to have Arcade Mortal Kombat 4, and it's going to have Mortal Kombat Advance, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Game Boy Advance. Oh, it's just Game Boy Advance. So it only is going to have Mortal Kombat 1 through 4, and then 3 Game Boy Advance games. That's what's in this collection coming up. That's fine. Mortal Kombat 4 is a terrible game. It really is. Like, they wanted to bring Mortal Kombat to 3D, and it really just ruined it. And then after that, they stopped trying to make them competitive. They just made them like party games. Who is my favorite Mortal Kombat character? Sub-Zero. Or Cyrax. I like Sub-Zero and Cyrax. Well, I was just about to end the show, and I got a $2 tip. I'm going to pick Noob Saibot against you in Trilogy. Have fun with No Skill Infinites. I never really played Trilogy. Trilogy is the busted version where they put all the different versions of Mortal Kombat characters into the game at once. So it's not balanced. You know, the final game that's actually balanced is Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, because that was the last one they released in arcades that actually was like competitive. Like Mortal Kombat 4, they tried, but the game is so busted that I doubt it's going to be good. What's funny is they're saying arcade Mortal Kombat 4 will be in it, but what version? There was like 4 versions of arcade Mortal Kombat 4, and 3 of them were broken. So if they get one of the earlier versions, you're going to have infinite throws. I told you guys about this before. You could run up to someone with Raiden, and Raiden's throw, he grabs your legs, he twists up like this, and the opponent goes, "Don't grab my leg!" And you could just do it infinitely. You go, snap, 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 and they can't do anything. They just stand there and die. They're like, what the fuck kind of game is this? What a piece of shit. Like, they didn't test it at all. They just released it broken. And then they had to keep patching the game. They kept sending out chips, update chips, to the fucking arcade vendors because the game was so unplayable. It was a big fiasco at the time. Okay. Anyway, guys, it's definitely time to end the show. Thanks for chilling, and thanks for supporting. Tomorrow, we'll talk about Battlefield 6, among other things, all right? Thank you guys so very much. I appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow.